We are now into part 3 of the greatest presidential interview in the history of presidential interviews. Time for part 3 with our 45th president, Donald Trump. Take it away. I got to ask you about Hunter Biden's new profession. Have you seen any of his paintings?
No, I haven't seen them. I've seen, I guess, some newspaper shots of them.
Could you imagine if that was your
Don
son?
Jr. Don Jr. has decided to go into painting. Well, he's never painted before. He wants $500,000 a shot. And you know what? They don't even go after him.
Yeah. And he paints with a straw, which is a new use for a straw for him.
Yeah. No, it's just, when I heard that one, I said, oh, this one will never. This one, even the fake news media will not allow. He's selling these paintings for a fortune.
Yeah.
If my kids ever did that, they could do good things.
Yes.
I have a son raised $20 million for St. Jude's, and it was under 2 years of investigation, and he got nothing out of it. Nothing. 2 years of investigation, he raised $20 million. I got the most beautiful letter from the head of St. Jude's that this young man, I won't even say which one of my kids, because why should I?
It'd be great if Don Jr. or Eric started selling sketches and giving the money to like drug addiction programs. You know, just like some really primitive sketches before Hunter ever sells a painting. Well,
and this was during, you know, if you go during the presidency to do this, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
But I think the paintings are the least of it.
Yeah.
You know that.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned paint, that's the least of it.
Well, there's the gun violations and well, there's a load of other things, too.
You know what? We had a much softer Justice Department, and let's say that they didn't like doing that. And I understand that, too. I don't want to see a family in trouble.
Yeah.
And he's got some difficulties, which are very serious difficulties in terms of what happened to him with abuse, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll tell you what, you can't do it to Republicans. And I say to some of the Republicans, especially the rhinos, because we have some very stupid Republicans also. Yeah. I say, don't you sometimes have to fight fire with fire?
What are your plans for 2024?
So I love our country. I think you'll be very happy. I would say this 2-3 years ago, you might not have been that happy, but now I think you'd be very happy. I think especially when you see what's happening, you'll be happy. No, I'll make a decision in the not too distant future, but I love our country, and I think a lot of people are going to be very happy. And if you look at the poll numbers, I certainly like that, because it's we got one the other day, 98% approval rating in the Republican Party. Reagan had 87. We have a 98% approval rating, and that makes me feel good. It makes me feel appreciated, not like a guy like you that could be critical. In the past, only in the past.
All right, so I have to ask you, do you miss Twitter at all? Do you tweet in your head, like because you're not on there anymore?
Well, you know, a lot of people think Twitter was bad for me. I disagree. I think it was good for me. Twitter's become a very boring place. As I understand, I don't want to be like bragging or anything, but people are saying it's become very boring.
No, you made the site.
You know, when I went onto Twitter like 12 years ago, Twitter was a failed operation. And it became successful, and a lot of people said I had a lot to do with it. When they took me off, I had way over 100 million people. And then if you add Facebook and everything else, it's over 200 million people. That's a lot. You go from 200 million people to nothing overnight. What I do now is I have Save America, and I release things, and I'm getting tremendous play. And we're suing Twitter, Facebook, Google. We're suing them all. A class action suit. Anybody wants to join, please join. Feel free. But we're suing them, and I think it's a great lawsuit. These people are sick. You know, Zuckerberg used to come, you know, the lock boxes, which I call the unlock boxes, because they unlock. So the unlock boxes all over the place. But he used to come to the White House to kiss my ass. And I'd say, oh, that's nice. I have the head of Facebook coming with his lovely wife, and they'd come and they'd have dinner with me in the White House. And then you see what they do about me and about Republicans, and it's just sort of crazy. But that's the way the world works.
When you are watching how the media treats Joe Biden, this is such an obvious question, but it's worth bringing up. There's always a game that we play on the 5. It's like, imagine if it's Trump. If you look at the certain things that, like Joe Biden leaving behind Afghan translators. If it were you, you would be called a racist. Correct? Because they are,
and they'd be impeaching me.
Yeah, would be impeaching you
for many different.
And now you have this phone call, right? This phone call that he made to the Afghan president,
that was not a good
asking
call.
him to lie.
Yeah.
Right. So that That is not a perfect phone call.
No, that is not. My call was a perfect call.
So how does the psychology of this work? How do they square that in their head, knowing what they did before? And I'm talking about the media.
You know, my call, when I heard there was we sent it to the Justice Department.
Yeah.
These guys, I didn't know who they were. They were a certain division. And they called back and they said, we've read this transcript 3 or 4 times. What exactly are you looking for? You know, these are guys that are looking at drug deals and all sorts of bad stuff. They're going, what is it you are looking for? That they couldn't figure it out. It was a perfect call. When you watch this call, this was not a good call.
No.
This was not a good call.
No, he was asking him to lie in order to make it look better. Maybe to make himself look better or politically whatever. But it was like...
But I've been calling Ghani a crook for a long time.
And he left with how much money?
He walked away with $200 million.
Yeah.
In fact, he couldn't get it all into the helicopter. They left a lot of it on the runway. Do you think some people at the airport were happy?
It just kills me.
And you don't even hear that story. You don't even hear that story.
No, you don't.
And you don't hear that much about Afghanistan anymore. You know, I watch the evening news, and they talk about everything they can, but they don't like to talk about Afghanistan.
All right. That was powerful.
'Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that